Yeah, it's fun to do this because if you're an academic, if you're a professor, you talk for a living, so you're glib. You don't have to know anything about what you're talking about, but you can sound really convincing. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. I've been asked to chair this session, I guess, because I'm the president of the Interpreter Foundation, and this project, this really fascinating project that they're going to be talking about, is under the auspices of the Interpreter Foundation. So I'll let them do that talking, and then we'll see how this goes. But I thought I would first introduce Jeff Bradshaw, who will then introduce Junior Bonza, and then we'll get the ball rolling, because I don't know exactly what you have planned. But anyway, we'll see. Jeff Bradshaw is one of the vice presidents of the Interpreter Foundation, has been a really productive member of our leadership, our board, and so on for years now. And we've been just really thrilled to have him involved with us in our projects. He has been responsible for many aspects of our work. He is, by profession, a cognitive scientist with a PhD from the University of Washington, and was still involved with the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, whatever that is. And so I think that's all I really need to say, except that Jeff has served 2 senior missions in Francophone Africa, and that partly explains the background of this marvelous project. So I will let Jeff take over and then do the further introduction, and we'll be on our way.
Real reason we have all these complex introductions here is we just love the applause. So we don't get that when we teach at the university very often. Very nice to be here, and Dan, very much honored that you can join us, as well as my colleague and friend, Junior Bonza. We'll talk a little bit more about that first, but first I want to show you a 10-minute introductory to the film series that we're working on for the Interpreter Foundation that'll give you a better feel in pictures than you could ever get in words. So once you've seen this, we'll say just a few words more, and then we're honored to have Junior be able to tell some bits of his story. And we're going to be able to take, I think, some questions from any of you if you want to submit them, and Junior will answer all of them, and then Dan will fill in as needed. So thank you. We hope you enjoy the film. There we go.
Hi, I'm Junior Bonza. I grew up in Kinshasa singing songs like this with my family every night. Our new film series entitled Not by Bread Alone includes the story of how my family joined the church in Switzerland. But my family's conversion story has a lot in common with those of others in the DR Congo and French-speaking Africa. This is why we named the film series Not by Bread Alone. Of course, this phrase comes from Jesus when he said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God." These are words that speak to the heart of African Christians. When poverty deprives, disease sickens, war menaces, and human predators victimize for the sake of wealth and power, hundreds of millions of steadfast and resilient Christians in Africa are sustained in their trials by their faith in Christ as they work for a better future. Congolese saints are not reticent in sharing their faith and their gratitude. The more you get to know them, the more you will see that the kind of peace they find in Christ is not best expressed as a contemplative solo, a small trickle of feeling from a single individual, but rather in Congolese fashion as a soaring group of voices boldly singing in a chorus of joyful, loving praise, a thundering waterfall of power and emotion. What is special about the DR Congo? First, it is located in the very heart of Central Africa. The DR Congo is vast, the second largest country in Africa, about the size of the eastern United States. It features lush rainforests and unique wildlife, such as the mountain gorilla, the okapi, the super smart bonobo, and very large insects. The country is bordered by the Congo River, the deepest and most powerful river in the world. The country is blessed with beautiful, intelligent, and enthusiastic children. But for Latter-day Saints, the DR Congo is special for another reason. It is one of the fastest growing areas of the church. The historic boundaries of French-speaking Africa cover a surprisingly large and populous portion of the entire continent. In fact, the church is growing so quickly in these countries that some people think French might eventually become the most common language in the church. The DR Congo already has the second largest church membership in Africa, and the rate of growth and retention is phenomenal, even when compared with other African countries. The geography of church growth is also a fascinating subject. Over the last decade, its membership has spread out from 5 centers of strength to dozens of faraway locations whose number continues to increase quickly. Many of these outposts of faith are in incredibly remote places like Likasi, where, as a missionary, I used to meet on Sundays in this small room with a handful of members. Likasi now has multiple stakes. Luputa, a small village, where the first stake was formed before any full-time missionary had ever served there. There are currently 112 full-time missionaries serving from Luputa's 2 stakes. The Bateke Plateau, where church members have traveled to gather family history from tribal leaders. Kisangani, the home of the fearless Wagenya fishermen. In just a few years, the church in Kisangani expanded from a single branch to a district with 6 branches. But not by bread alone is not a lesson in geography or statistics. Instead, it tells the stories of faithful members like these who have joyfully embraced the gospel, sometimes at great personal cost. For example, the episodes present stories of bright and dedicated missionaries, elders, and sisters, whose devotion becomes clear when we begin to learn their backstories. This is Cedric Chiambwe, who worked selling bananas, traveling from town to town on his bicycle to earn $250 needed for his missionary passport. It took him 4 years. And this is Mathieu Kalume Abilwa. His family received the testimony of the restored gospel in the 1970s, along with hundreds of other nearby saints. But the villages where they lived were so remote that missionaries could not go there. Wondering what had happened to these saints, 2 recently returned missionaries braved a long and risky journey to find out if these groups of converts still existed. After many difficulties, they learned that these unbaptized converts were still true to their testimonies and had continued to hold Sunday school and study the Book of Mormon in their villages for nearly 50 years, almost completely on their own. Mathieu's mother pleaded with the 2 young men to find a way for their 12 children to be baptized, but they were not authorized to do so. Finally, at the age of 25, Mathieu convinced his father and mother to let him travel alone to the city of Lubumbashi, 600 kilometers away, where he could be taught, baptized, receive the priesthood, and be called to serve a full-time mission. Movingly, he tells of how sweet it was to be able to take the sacrament for the very first time in his life. In one episode, Elder Willie Binene Sabwe, now in Area 70, tells the story of the life-threatening journey from ethnic persecution he made with his family and thousands of others. His young life was a string of disappointments. Then, everything took a major turn for the better when he met Lily, whom the Lord had shown him in a dream. Together, they raised a family, built a school, and with the help of the church, mobilized the entire village day in and day out for a period of 3 years to dig an 18-mile trench by hand through the forest to bring clean water to their families. Another episode illustrates what we like to call the ripple effect of generosity. People in need being helped and then going on to help other people. For example, David and Josephine Banza lived with their boys in a one-room home of a few square meters on a noisy street in Kinshasa. They had no electricity or plumbing. In the middle of the room was a pedal-powered sewing machine where David earned a living as a tailor. He is completely blind in both eyes. His wife has a handicap. After joining the church, David and Josephine dreamed of starting a school where disabled people could learn to sew and earn a living. Through the help of kind friends, that dream became a reality. Here, David, who has never seen the school or the student with his own eyes, deftly teaches his class how to measure, cut, and sew. After years of preparation, David and Josephine Banza were sealed in the Kinshasa temple. Since 2019, 5 temples have been dedicated or announced for the 2 Congos. The temple is an oasis of peace to families, to the young and the old, to jovial logistics experts, hardy construction workers, dedicated gardeners, and diligent guilders. The time has come to tell the full story of the saints. Now, in this special moment, while new temples rise to witness the faithfulness of these spiritually sensitive people, our film series will remind the rising generation worldwide that the core of the bright, beating heart of Africa, the source of light and life and love of its people, is not their daily bread, but rather the true Word of God, now restored in its fullness to the earth.
I've seen that film many times, and it still touches me because I feel the devotion and faith of the people who I've been privileged to know in the DR Congo for the last while. And now, thanks to some generous donors, we were able to extend that to a few other countries in Africa that are close by in the heart of Africa. I'm not going to say too much about the other things we're doing in the film series. If you want to learn more, you can go to the website, notbybreadalonefilm.com, and you can learn more. It exists equally well in French, as well as do all the videos, short videos and episodes of the history. And I just want to emphasize that this is a very different form of communication than we usually see in the World Report each time in conference. There's great needs in Africa, and we hear the great humanitarian assistance that exists there. We hear about wars, and we hear about other troubles. But this series is really focusing on stories of faith, which I think we in this country could use, and all around the world, could use more than any other help that could be given us at this time. So I encourage you to visit the website if you have a chance and take a look at what's there. There will be much more in the coming months between now and the end of the year, and I want to just highlight one thing. In the film spoke of the story of Elder Willie B. Nene, who had been chased out of their city because of ethnic conflict and is now currently serving as a general authority. The growth of the church in Luputa. He is going to be a major thread of the Saints Volume 4 book, which is coming out this fall. I'm not authorized to say exactly when, but it isn't too long now. When that comes out, watch for a very special episode on the story of Willie and Lily Binene and the Saints in Luputa. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a very personal, moving story. But now here's another family story, and we're going to turn the time over here to Junior here shortly. This is Junior, his parents, and his brother Phil and Junior's wife Annie, and then Junior's 2 children. Kenny in the middle, I just got a message from him today. He's just started his mission to Tallahassee, Florida. It's such a touching thing to see him serve. Junior can sit and cry instead of me when he talks about it. I just want to say one other thing. Junior's not only a very special spiritual friend to me, but he's also very talented. He's done a lot of quiet work for the church, among other things, in translation. I just wanted to show you this little video that I really like, where he's saying the same thing in 4 different languages. So just enjoy this, as I have.
Men shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God. L'homme ne vivra pas de pain seulement, mais par toute parole de Dieu. Moto akozala na bomoi kaka pona bileiti, kasi pona liloba nyonso ya Nzambe. Muntu kakwika ni moi anubu abidi ankaya bito, kadibu adi dionso di Nzambe.
So if you don't want to speak in English, you hear him in English, you can speak in any other language you want. So we'll turn the time over now to Junior. Junior is really the heart and soul behind this film series. I'm just the hand sometimes, and you can just feel the great spirit that comes from him when he narrates and helps with these stories. Junior.
Hello, everybody. Well, don't believe everything he said about me. Some of it is not right. I'm just a simple guy. But it's so good to be with you today. When we talked about coming over and meeting with you tonight, I thought, what am I going to share with them? The videos, they're probably going to tell them a lot about what's going on. But then my mind started focusing a little bit. And I decided today I will come in. For those who already know this, I want to confirm one truth, that the church is true. For those who don't know that yet, I'm letting you know that the church is true. And I also wanted to tell you that we all know about the prophecy of Daniel, who saw the little stone cut off a mountain without the help of any hand that rolled and kept rolling until it filled the whole earth. I'm here to let you know and to tell you a little bit about the fulfillment of that prophecy. I was born in Kinshasa, like it said, but I've been in America, particularly in Utah, for over 20 years, 24 years. And as I'm looking at 2 worlds, it's easy if you live in Salt Lake or anywhere else in Utah. As you leave your home, there's a chapel almost around every corner. And it didn't used to be this way. The pioneers didn't have chapels around corners everywhere. They built them and they grew. And now we're here and we reaping the benefits of what they did. I want to tell you about that same story, but on the other side of the world, in Central Africa, particularly in the Congo. Now, to help you understand my position, why I can talk about it this way, because I have witnessed the growth, the birth actually, and the growth of the church over there. My family, my parents joined the church in Switzerland, and this was in 1979. I'm not going to go, because of time, to the details. But they were there on a scholarship from a different church, the Presbyterian church. While they were there, they met the missionaries, joined the church right away, And you see in the picture, these are the two missionaries. And in the blue pajamas, that's me. And that's my brother Phil. Now, as soon as they joined the church, the scholarship was canceled, that we had to go home. So we went home. This was October 1979. The church was nowhere to be found in the Congo. In fact, at the time, the only places, the only countries in Africa that had some type of representation for the church was South Africa and Nigeria and Ghana. So no French-speaking country on the continent had the church. So what are we going to do? So we're here. Now, by the providence of God, in 1986, the church was authorized to be established there in the Congo. Now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth person, basically in the middle of the picture, that's me, the little kid right there. And I was being taught the missionary discussion because my brother and I did not get baptized in Switzerland. We were too young. So by 1986, we could be baptized, and President and Sister Hutchings were the first missionaries to be assigned to the Congo. And my baptism was the very first baptism in the country. And as far as we're trying to figure this out, we're trying to find out if there was anywhere in Central Africa, we haven't found it yet. Maybe because the Congo was the very first country, Central Africa, to receive the gospel. So my baptism, probably the very first baptism in Central Africa. Now, actually, let me show you this. This is the day I was baptized. The kid in the blue shirt, that's my brother, and I'm standing right next to that skinny little dude. That's me. And this picture was taken maybe 20 minutes after I was baptized. This was June 1986. 2 baptisms, me and my brother. Today, in 2024, we have about 30 stakes. We have 1 temple in Kinshasa that's dedicated. We have 1 being built in Lubumbashi. We have 1 where the site has been selected in Kananga, and we have 1 in Bujimai that's been announced, without counting the 1 in Brazzaville, which is a different country, but it's basically the same place, because we used to be the same mission, but it's just across the Congo River. Why am I telling you this? So that you will receive confirmation that the church is rolling forth. Africa is being blessed by the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is going everywhere. I was speaking recently with Elder Thierry Mutombo. Elder Mutombo is the Africa area president. He's a very, very, very good friend. It's actually family. And he was telling me that last year, if I would ask you just a guess, how many baptisms do you think they get a year? How many? Well, not quite yet. For the country, they had 18,000. 18,000 new members.
It's about 20% increase in 1 year.
Yes.
Think about it that way. If there's 100,000 members, 18,000.
20% increase. And the Congo is now the #1 producer of full-time missionaries on the continent. And the other interesting thing is that those missionaries are coming mostly, 60% of them are coming from Central Congo, so the Kasai region. And that's where Jeff was telling us, even the video, where we had stakes organized without any full-time missionaries ever being there. So basically what happened was we have members that came from a different stake. Elder Binene, for example, and his family, as they were kicked out, they were refugees coming from Likasi and Kolwezi. They come to Luputa, that's their homeland. They'd never been there. These are kids and people who were born in Kolwezi. Now, because of ethnic issues, go home. Go home where? Okay, where your ancestors came from. So they went back to Luputa, not knowing anything. But one thing they had was the gospel. They kept it. They kept teaching the children and the neighbors. And pretty soon, you have congregations meeting under trees and in people's homes. And when the report comes to area headquarters, they say, what are we going to do with these people? Well, you are a stake now. Just like that. And they keep growing. That little stone is filling the earth. And I believe now is the time for Africa. Now, I know we press for time, so I'm going to stop there. We have 10 minutes, right? Okay, and I was told you might have questions, so.
Yeah. Stay up there, Journey.
Stay up.
You're going to be answering the questions. Are there any questions, Scott? No. Okay.
English. In the Congo, English is a language learning school. So it's not. French is the official language. But we have about 450 different dialects besides that. And by the way, the Book of Mormon is now translated in Lingala, and we just completed work in Chiluba. Yeah. Oh, French-speaking members. All of them are French-speaking. Oh, right now we have probably about 118,000 or so. That's just for the Congo. Now, the area includes countries that are not French-speaking. So, but the French-speaking countries, you have the DR Congo, you have Gabon, Cameroon, you have Rwanda, not anymore, but so you have 4 countries that are specifically French-speaking countries. So I would assume between all of them, probably 150,000 members.
Then we have West Africa.
West Africa, that's Côte d'Ivoire. That's a different area. Yes. Yes.
We just want to be sure that we repeat the
yes.
questions.
Repeat the questions before
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, repeat the question. Okay, so she's asking, when we talked about missionary passport, is it because they're going to a different country? Or, well, here's the thing. Most people, very, very poor, they cannot afford a mission. So they use church funds and help to go on a mission. But they are being asked to contribute something. And one thing that they're being asked to contribute is at least get your own passport. See if that's possible, because you never know where you're being sent. These missionaries are being sent to Ivory Coast and throughout Africa. They're everywhere. In fact, recently we've had some of them come to the US and Europe, so you never know where you're being sent. So before your mission call comes, they want you to have your passport. Yeah.
Where is the greatest source of opposition to the work? Is it from the government or other churches or militias?
No, I think the question, what the biggest opposition to the work? Is it government? Is it the militia? No, in my mind, I would think not the government. We're establishing very good relationship with the government. In fact, the current Minister of Agriculture used to be a stake president. So we're establishing good relationship with them. I would personally, Jeff, I don't know, but there is no big opposition except maybe poverty. In my mind, poverty. Because it pushes people to do sometimes things that they wouldn't do otherwise. So, to me personally, that might be the only thing. How stable is the political situation? They're working on it. For the last 5 years, they've now had, for the first time in 2018, they had the first democratically elected president for the first time ever. So, and that's trying to uproot systems that had been there for 60 years. So they're working on making it a better way, but there's still a lot of problems, but at least they're on the right track. Yes, sir.
What do you think helped people be prepared for such
What helped the people be prepared for such an expansion? I've thought about that many times. By nature, the Congolese people are Christian. So 98%, maybe 95, I don't know, are Christian, Catholic and Presbyterians and Baptists and all that. But I would also say culturally, the culture and the beliefs of the Congolese people and even the disposition is very close to the church. Let me give you an example. As a missionary, and all of us, you're teaching people about temple work. We're doing temple work for our ancestors. Many people might look at it like, what are you talking about? What are you doing with or for, or how are you doing things with your ancestors? But the Congolese people, that's not something that is unusual. We believe that our ancestors are close to us. We believe that they're there, that they see us, that they're close around us. So when you tell them, okay, I am going to be baptized for my grandpa, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely, go ahead. So those kind of things, but also the disposition is just believing. No one says no to getting the missionaries in their home. That's the one thing. So many of us here have been on missions. What is it, the number one thing we want is to get to sit down with them and bear testimony. Now imagine the whole people that would never say, I'm not interested in having you sit down. So once they sit down and start talking to them, it makes sense. And the reason why they would never say no to having missionaries is because they believe in God. If you are a representative of Christ, of course you're welcome. Please come and sit down and tell me what you have. Even if in the end I don't join, but at least I want to give you that respect of listening to you. Yes, sir.
How's the Pathways program working?
How's the pathway? Pathway is working very well. They're building it. They're working. The church educational system is hard at work putting it together, even in places that are so remote. They're having issues, places like Laputa that don't have running water. They don't have internet connection. So those are issues that they're fighting through, but in big cities like Lubumbashi and Kinshasa, a lot of people are enrolling, and it's working and helping many people.
Could I add
Yes.
something to that? Yes. In the stake of Kinshasa, one of the 30 stakes there, one of them I've heard, they have 1,000 people enrolled in Pathway, about 50% members, 50% non-members. Give you an idea of the impact.
Yes.
And by the way, the retention rate, Brother Mutombo also rated, what did he say, 60, 70%?
For the area, and in the Congo, about 75.
75.
Yeah. Okay, yes, sir.
In some areas of the world, we have problems with people not living with their grandparents. They can't get all enrolled in a family history. How does that compare to what's going on?
Well, he's asking about family history. In many places in the world, you don't know who your ancestors are and that's probably because there was no written record of who they were, right? So we have that problem in some areas too. So a lot of the history has been word of mouth, families, and I know that the church has established a program where you have people, contractors, who go into villages recording these histories, recording the oral histories from all these villages and families. So that's helping a lot because of that program that they have implemented. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How many, is there any current plan to translate the Book of Mormon into more Congolese dialects, and if so, which one?
Well, I don't think right now, because the centers of strength are Chiluba and Lingala. And Swahili already exists because of, the Eastern African countries, Kenya, Tanzania, so they already have the book in Swahili. However, that Swahili is a little different. So I think last time I was talking to somebody, church translation, they may look into adapting it. So, but right now you have Lingala, Chiluba, and French, of course.
How would you say the young wards and stakes differ than wards and stakes here?
Oh, that's a great question. How do the wards and stakes differ from here? Well, let me tell you one big fact. The average age of those coming to church being baptized is 19. There's a number one difference right there. You have a lot of young people. It's most bishops that I know are 30, 25, and the stake president is 35, 25. So that's a big thing. Now, because they're so new, they're learning. There's a lot of learning to be done. One big challenge that they have right now is, as I was talking to Elder Mutombo again, is like, where do we put them? How do you build, because 18,000, that's what, 20 stakes? 10 stakes maybe? How do you build 10 stakes at once, quickly, in a place where you can't even go by car? So that's a big problem. But when you go to church, everybody is enthusiastic. You should hear them sing. That's one thing I miss a lot, is singing in church, during sacrament meeting or otherwise. You should see the choirs. Every ward wants to have a choir, and that choir is, yes, it's a real choir. Bishop doesn't have to stand and say, those who want to come and be with Sister Peterson after church in choir practice, no. So, but it's very vibrant, very, very vibrant, yeah. Any other? Yes, sir.
Are there traditional music forms that we perform in church there that we don't have?
No. Oh, do we have traditional form of music that we perform in church that we don't have here? Well, for official church meetings, no. The hymns are the same. For other activities, yes, you may have African music being played, but during church is the exact same thing. Yeah, and that, by the way, they're also working on translating the hymns in Lingala. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.